Hello punters and welcome back to another Saturday racing preview. Of course, in this video looking at the Ballarat Cup meeting. So 10 races to get through. The Ballarat Cup itself, really good edition of it this year. Really deep field and really competitive. Some really nice horses in there. So it's a really nice race to get through and to look at. I think it's a very good betting race as well with $5 the favourite in Fair to Remember. So I can really look forward to that. 10 races to get through on the program. So if you are new here, obviously these videos I just sort of look at each feature race day in Victoria and New South Wales. This week I'll be doing the railway meeting at Ascot as well. So Group 1 Railway at Ascot. So I'll be doing a video for that one as well if you want to be checking that one out. I might even combine two racetracks into one video. I might do that. Also might do Kembla Grange and Ascot together. We'll see how we go with that. But if you are new here, please subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate your subscription. Really appreciate all of you that did subscribe over the Spring Carnival period, and also those of you that have been subscribed for a few years now, ever since I've started doing these. I really do appreciate your support a lot. Obviously, leave a like on the video and leave your comments down below who you're back in almost at the Melbourne Cup, the Ballarat Cup, and also give any of your thoughts on any other horses in these races across the 10. If there's anything that you like, or if there's anything you want, any questions you've got for me, feedback or whatever, leave it down below. This is a video for you to really have your say and get my opinion on anything, or vice versa. We can have a good discussion down below. I do always enjoy it. So without any further ado, we're going to get straight into race number 1. So looks to be a little bit of tempo here in race number 1 over the 1100 metres. I'd suggest that the Gouch, Hidden Legend and Mistake will probably be rolling forward. I'd suggest Harlem Blues and Memphis Rock will also be prominent towards the speed. I don't think they'll take up the front, but they'll be probably looking to settle just in behind. Tan Tat Harmony won't be too far away either, I wouldn't think. Really interesting race, this one. Look, I was pretty keen to have a look at riding the wave at $9.50. Thought it was a pretty good price. Former New Zealander. Was a really good effort first up behind High Stranger at Bendigo over the 1100 metres. I liked that run there. Comes in this second up. I think it'll be much improved off that first up run. Looking at the weights, it was carried 59.5 last time out. It's gone up, obviously. Will Price's 3 kilo claim brings it down to 60 from 63, so it's not too badly in at the weights. I think that it should be able to get a really good run from barrier number 11. It should be able to sweep down the outside and really be right at the finish. So I think $9.50 is a really good price about it. I'm going to be taking it on top. Out of number 12, Harlem Blues is the other one I'm going to be keen on. I'm going to have a 2 each way bet on both of them. Harlem Blues was a really good effort first up, but in a strong race behind Hard Landing and LA Boom. Up the straight over 1,000 metres at Flemington last start. Second up here, I think will be much improved. So throughout its career so far, hasn't really fired a shot first up, and then has tend to improve the further the preparation's gone on. So I think this horse should be able to show a little bit of improvement. We'll appreciate the amount of tempo in the race. I think $7.50 is a really good price about it as well. So it goes in for second. In for third, the favourite, number 2, the Gouch. Look, no knock on. I just think that it's well under the odds at the 220. Second last night to Ocular. It was a good run. That was back on the 7th of October, so it's had a bit of a freshen up since then. Really could come out and bolt him, but it could also do quite the opposite and perhaps be a little bit behind on some of these that have had a couple of runs in between that time. But the form reads pretty good. It's a horse that rarely runs a bad race. I mean, it hasn't finished outside the top 2 so far in its career. So, I mean, it is a horse that you can take on plenty of trust, but I just think that the 220 is a fraction short for me. So it goes in for third. Then in fourth, I do have number 9, Tan Tat Harmony, who's been really impressive in its 2 runs so far this preparation. 2 nice wins, both on heavy surfaces, so it does come onto a firm track for the first time, so that is a little bit of a query, but $6.50 about, I think, is a pretty good price, and I think you could definitely have something on it as well. Hidden Legend's probably another one that I thought was a little bit over the odds. Could show something nice first up here with Michael D in the saddle. Barrier number 3 is not the best for it, I don't think. I mean, look at the speed map. I think it might be able to land him behind the speed and could potentially get a really good run of the race there, actually. Um, in terms of an each way chance, it looks to be a pretty reasonable chance to run well. It's a horse that has run well on multiple good surfaces. So, on soft tracks, it's had a win in 3 placings. It's had just the one placing on a good track, but and has fired well first up before. So probably is the decent roughie that I'll have outside of my numbers. And Rock Profit probably is another one as well that could run a good enough race. But I can't see Profit turning the tables on Riding the Wave, who Riding the Wave's $9.50 and beat at home last time out. So I've got Ride the Wave on top. Riding the Wave on top, number one at $9.50. Out of number 12, Harlem Blues, and for second. In the third, number two, The Gouch, and then in for fourth, I've got number it's 9, 10, Tat Harmony. Move on to race number two in the program, benchmark 78, 2,500 metres, so the staying race of the day. Look at the speed map. I'd suggest that we'll be seeing Piso take up the front with Wentwood. I don't think there'll be too many others that'll take up the running and the speed battle. Maybe Brilliant Venture might settle just in behind them, maybe not too far away. And in terms of other speeders, it's really up in the air. I'd say Transfer Allowance might roll forward and try and do what it did last time out as well, and try and lead for a long way potentially. So um, also has a bit of race fitness on its side as well. Number 9, Transfer Allowance, so might even roll forward from that middle barrier. Look, this was a tough race for me. Nothing to be too keen on, because it's one of those races where a lot of these are non-winners, and um, they're a little bit of a battler in a sense. But I do think Brilliant Venture is probably the one that's the most on the up. And the third last time out at Moonee Valley behind Eaton and Wahine Toa was pretty good. I mean, looking back at that run, Wahine Toa stays level at the weights, and Brilliant Venture comes down 1.5 kilos. So, I mean, you're looking at it, and Wahine Toa only really beat Brilliant Venture home on that occasion by, what are we looking at? By 0.1 of a length. Brilliant Venture comes down 1.5 kilos in the weights, but finds itself at $13, while Wahine Toa is $3.80. So I think it's well over the odds. Number 11, Brilliant Venture, and I'm really keen to have something on it at that each way price. So it goes on top for me, ahead of number 12, Wahine Toa. I think that is the right form line. But like I said, I can't really understand how there's the price discrepancy between the two, when there was only a 0.1 of a length between them last start, and Brilliant Venture actually comes down in the weight. So it's a bit of a confusing one, bit of a head scratcher for me. But anyway, Henny Ty I still think will run well. It's been a progressive horse that ran really well in the St. Ledger earlier in the year. So we know that it's going to appreciate the step out in trip. Has run the 2600 before, so don't think that'll be too much for concern, and should be running quite well. Reflect the Stars was a good win last time out at Geelong over the 2400. 2600, I think will be too much of a concern for it, and should be running a good race again as well. And Blandford Lad finished second that race behind Reflect the Stars, so I've got to be having it in the numbers as well. Have got plenty of race fitness on its side. Has had plenty of runs this preparation, and should be running well, so it goes in for fourth. Other chances, I do think the Red Alto is probably worth a little bit of a mention as a decent price. He hasn't found his good form in a while, but his very best run could see him go close. He's running the Ararat Cup and the Bendigo Cup to last two starts, and he's been a long way back. But Michael Walker in the saddle, Brent Stanley the trainer, just think that this horse might be able to show up and show something here in this race. So the $26 probably isn't the worst value chance. But look, I'm pretty keen on my top four. I can't really see too many others challenging these. I think Brilliant Venture is definitely the one, though. Like I said, $13 well over the odds about it. In for second, number 12, Wahine Toa. In for third, number 6, Reflect the Stars. And in for fourth, I've got number 7, Blandford Lad. Moving on to race number 3 on the program now, the Eureka Stockade 1400 metre race. Look at the speed map here. Looks to only the 7 to go around in this, and we've got a $1.45 favourite, Shelby Cobra, who I think will be quite prominent towards the speed. Celio Miss won't be too far away either. I think they'll be the main speed factors in the race. Look, Shelby Corey, it's very hard to go against it based off what it's done so far. It was a good win last time out, beating Tommy Gold by a length, and then the start prior, it beat Seb Song on a heavy track at Sale. So, look, it obviously has really come to some good form now. It's a horse that looks to be well on the up and has plenty of ability going forward. And I just think, based off what we've seen off the last two starts, and particularly last start, the way it let down nicely over the 1400 metres at Flemington, it just looks really hard to beat here in a race like this. So $1.50. Really cannot suggest betting on that at all. I don't like the price. I mean, I always say that you got to tread with a bit of caution with these sort of 3-year-olds or either 2-year-olds or lightly raced 3-year-olds. They're always a little bit touchy in terms of they can perform really well and they can perform really poor in sort of a matter of starts. So you got to be a little bit careful when taking him. But I just think that it's the one to beat. I can't really see anything beating it. I do think Cerilio Miss probably is a good chance, probably more for the place than the win, and represents a little bit of value. It's a really good win at Bendigo last time out on debut. I really like that run, and I do think that it's got a good chance to be right towards the finish. I'm not sure if it can beat Shelby Cobra, but it should be somewhere around the mark. Bo Rosser, it was a really good win last time at Murray Bridge. I was impressed with, sorry, not at Murray Bridge, at Morfordville. It's had a run in between that, a trial in between that run at Murray Bridge, which it won that trial as well over the 1,000 metres. So ticking along pretty nicely, this horse, and I think it can run a good race. So it goes in for third. And then in for fourth, I've got number 5, Super Yulong, who placed fifth first up at Cranbourne behind Turbo and Big Daryl. And I thought it was a good enough run. Carried 6.5 there. So comes down the weights for 57. Draws pretty well. Ben Mallon in the saddle. So there's plenty of ticks suggest it could run a good enough race. But look, I do think this Shelby Cobra will be very hard to beat. $1.50, don't like it. You could probably throw it into sort of I suppose multis, a bit of a multi anchor, but I do think that the better play would be to go Celio Miss, a little bit on the win, but then double your output on the place. So I think that despite there only being no third dividends, only the two placings to be paid, I do think that you could go with something. I think it will be in the top 2 for sure. So it goes in for second, in for third, number 8, Bo Ross, and then in for fourth, number 5, Super Yulong. Moving on to race number 4 in the program now. It's the 2-year-old Clockwise Classic over the 1,000 metres. And look, very tough race to sort of suggest what the speed map's going to be like. I do think Butter Blonde will roll forward, obviously. We have seen it be quite towards the lead in its 2 starts so far this preparation. Other leaders potentially, look, Ranveer showed a fair bit of pace in its trials, and it's drawn barrier number 2, so I'd be surprised if it didn't roll forward to get in a prominent position. Look at the other one that I think as well that might get forward is Jayanthi. Interesting runner there, a really good jump out win, so it could be prominent in the lead as well. But it's really hard to get a good guide onto where these horses will be in the run. But I do think Butter Blonde is over the odds. I mean, it's got the race experience on its side. It has been running some good races. I mean, a third last time out to Dosh and Nice for Watt. Thought that was a good enough run. It was only beaten by a length there. Prior to that, it won nicely down at Bendigo on a heavy track. So I'm interested to see what this horse can do coming on top of the ground for the first time. It'll be interesting to see how he can run. And I think $6 is a really good price to Craig Williams in the saddle. So it goes on top for me. And number 5, readily available, who I know John Sargent's got a big opinion of this horse, thinks can run a really good race. And he often doesn't send his horses down here unless he's targeted them really nicely. And he has targeted this horse towards this race, and he does think it's a really good winning chance. Look, I really liked his trials, especially its most recent one at Rosehill that it won. It was a really good performance, solid hit out on that occasion. Drawn really nicely. I think that it'll probably look to settle in behind the speed somewhere and get a bit of cover and probably try to sweep around the field and finish over the top. So I do think it's got to be a really strong chance. Number 5 readily available in the second. Even third, number 4, Ranveer, the favourite. Obviously, has had some solid backing. Open up at 440, is now 320. And I could see why, because the jump out, it was really impressive. I really liked its effort there. It looks to be a proper racehorse. He's was a bit of an expensive bias, I suppose. In modern racing, not so much at the $200,000, but Matt Laurie often doesn't have horses come out at these massive prices. So, and the fact that it's been pretty well backed, it's really well drawn. There's plenty of ticks there to suggest it'll run a good race. And number 1, Briggs, I think has to be given a mention at $26. Karen McAvoy rides for the Snowdens. Interesting runner again. The Snowdens place their horses really well, particularly when they come to Victoria. So I do think this horse could probably run a much better race than the price suggests. It's a good roughy chance, so it goes in for 4th. Other chance to race, I think Camprielli, Lloyd Kettlewell's runner, I think will run a good race. And really, the jump out back on the 11th was really impressive. I like that performance there, so I think that it can run a good race. And Jay Anthony, like I said, if it rolls forward from that barrier number 3 and gets in a prominent position, could be right in the finish as well. But look, I'm keen to go with number 6, Butter Blonde. I'm going to stick with the race experience, particularly considering it's $6. I think it's a nice price. It goes on top for me. And if number 5 readily available, I will have something each way on it as well, because I think that this horse has got some serious ability, and John Sargent really does place him well. He doesn't bring them down here very often, but when he does, they often do perform well. Number 4, Ranvir, the favourite for second, then for third, then for fourth, number 1, Briggs has a bit of an each way chance as well. Moving on to race number 5 on the program now, 1200 metre, the Tonks Plate over the 1200 metre distance. So let's say Wise Hero and Chicago Cub will roll forward. Travis, my friend, Excess Funds and Mystico will be probably the likely leaders in the race. So should be a decent enough tempo here, I think, to give every horse their chance in the race. And I am keen to stick with number 6, High Stranger. I was really keen on it first up at Bendigo. It was a really nice win, let down nicely to 61.5 kilos. Really drops down in weight strongly here to 56. Obviously goes up in class, but really has contested this type of level and performed well before. So I'm not too concerned about that. And I do think it'll be running well. And we should be able to see. While it's interesting because this horse has had 2 second up runs for no wins, no placings, and has had 4 cracks sort of around this 1200 metre distance and only just the 1 placing, but has been in strong grade. I mean, you're looking at a fourth to Lord Von Costa in grade again over 1200 metres, a second to Front Page, who's a very good horse. So it's not like it hasn't been around sort of decent form lines over the 1200 metres. It's been in really strong races, so you can forgive that kind of stat. And I think that it's going to be really hard to beat here once again, because it looks to be a really nice tempo to bring into the race. So number 6, High Stranger, goes on top for me. And of number 4, Mystico, who I do think is a bit over the odds here. I liked its first up run behind Ancestry and Ghana. It was 4 lengths off them, but Ancestry is a really smart type, as is Ghana. And I think this is a much weaker race. And second up here, I think we could see a bit of improvement from this horse. While it doesn't have the best second up record in terms of wins, had 6 starts for 4 placings. I do think that at $14, got to be given a good mention, particularly how well it ran first up. Harry Grace's 3 kilo claim brings it down to 55, so it's really well in at the weights as well. Number 7, Excess Funds, I think it bounced back off its last start performance at Flemington up the straight, behind Exhilarates the Astrologers. Prior to that, it was a really good second at Caulfield behind Coruscate, who's obviously gone on with it since and run well. So I think the form's right, and this horse is now rock hard fit and can definitely bounce back into form, so it goes in for third. And then in for fourth, I've got number 5, Chicago Cub, who again is another horse I think can bounce back. Went up the straight last time out at Flemington behind Exhilarates and the Astrologers. The same race as Excess Funds, and prior to that was running okay. The fourth, again behind Coruscate and Excess Funds, reads well enough. Not sure if it can actually turn the tables on Excess Funds based off its last 2 starts, but got to be giving it a mention nonetheless. All Too Royal left it out. I do think it's got a good chance. I just wasn't 100% convinced on its first up run. The form's read pretty well. So obviously, Sansom has come out once since, but the second up form is okay without being flash. I just think that this horse, from barrier number 5, I mean, I could see it probably being around midfield potential on the rail, so it might need a little bit of luck from there. And that's my little bit of a concern, as particularly at $4.80. So, recapping my numbers, I have got number 6, High Stranger, on top for me. Out of number 4, Mystico in for second. In for third, I've got number 7, Excess Funds. And in for fourth, I've got number 5, Chicago Cub. Moving on to race number 6 on the program now. Benchmark 78 over 1200 metres. Big field to contest this, 16 of them to go around. I think Merited will find the top with Sofia's Choice. Snap Dance from the 2 outside barrier stalls will probably look to roll across, get into a prominent position. I think Arctic Shock will probably roll forward for barrier number 4, trying to follow Merited in a prominent position as well. I can't really see too many others that'll be right up vying for the lead. Look, really good race this one. I'm keen to go with Merited here at the $10. I think this horse is an interesting runner first up here. Has good fresh form. Has won once from its 2 starts first up. The only little concern is the distance. I'm not sure if 1200 will be fraction too sharp for her, but I'm keen to see what she can do. Last preparation was in some good form lines. I mean, looking back at her sort of 2 starts before a spell, she had a third at Flemington over 1200 metres behind Front Page and High Stranger, and she had a fourth behind Silver Express and Alberg. So I think the form's good enough, and I think Meritor can run a good race first up here at the $10. If a second, who I will also have something each way on, is number 2, Zabellarina, who's a really good fresh performer. 6 starts for 4 wins first up. Has won here at the track before, and 1200 looks really well. Looks perfect to suit as well. So I think he'll be running a good race. Obviously, this is a bit of a step up in sort of the grade of racing that it has been racing in the last couple of preparations. Is I do think this is a bit tougher, but I do think it'll be running a good race fresh as well. Number 6, Snap Dancer, probably a little bit over the odds here as well. I do think at the $14, so it goes in for third. Then in fourth, I've got number 7, Chassis, so I'm really interested to see how this horse can perform first up. Showed a lot last preparation with some nice wins, particularly the one where it beat Rich Hips, who has gone with it since this spring. Other chances of the race, I do think Luna Corner have left the favourite out. Obviously, it was a really good run last time out, finishing second at Mornington behind Compty. I'm not sure if the form's quite right. Obviously, Rock Hard Fit now gets sort of out of this 1200 metre disc where it runs well. So it should be right in the finish somewhere, but I'm just not sure about the price. And number 10, Sophia's Choice, another one who I've left out, I do think can run a really good race. Was excellent first up over 1,000 metres at Mornington. We'll really appreciate the step out to the 1,200 metres. But recap the numbers for me. Look, I have gone number 15, Merit, so I'm just interested to see what this horse can do first up. Ahead of number 2, Zabella Arena, really good fresh horse in for second. In for third, I've got number 6, Snap Dancing. In for fourth, number 7, Chassis. Moving on to race number 7 now, and again, another big field to contest this race here. 16 horses in it. Look at the speed map. I do think that Caffrey, Star Ruse will probably take up the front running heavily. Emperor won't be too far away, and Skidor will be probably the other one that I think will roll forward and be somewhere prominent. I do think Influential Jack might be up there as well. Sentimentalist usually likes to roll forward its race as well. So there should be a few of them looking to find their positions towards the pace there. But Right You Are looks to be the one to beat here for me. I'm struggling to go against it. It's a really good run first up over the mile behind Power Scheme and B Hunter. Power Scheme since come out one against since at Sandown last week, so the form is really good around it. The horse has carried the big weight before. I mean, last start carried the 56, but I mean, looking back to last preparation over the mile at the 1600 metres at Flemington, carried 62 to victory on that occasion. So I don't think it's going to be too much of a concern for this horse. Second up here, obviously has good form second up as well. 2 starts for a win and a placing, and it's a horse that's never missed a top 3 finish. So I do think it's going to be quite hard to beat. Don't love the price. I mean, 235 it's shown. But I do think it's just the one to beat here. I really did struggle to find something to beat it. So it goes on top for me. I'm interested in Skidor though. This horse I think is building towards something. It was a good fifth last time out behind Power Scheme, who, like I mentioned, is a different race. This one was at Caulfield and was sometime back on the 17th of October. So it's had nearly a month off this horse since. But I did like that run there, and I thought that it was a bit of an eye catcher. And drops down a little bit in weight, has a bit of a tough barrier to overcome. But if it can do so, I do think that the $19 is a bit over the odds. Now, Think and Fly is the interesting one here, because this Oliver obviously is the regular rider of Right You Are, and he did ride it last time, and he's jumped off this horse to get on Think and Fly, who is $10. So I do think that there's got to be something to that. This horse has been excellent at the mile. It was a really good win last time out at Bendigo, betting Star Ruse, who it faced here again. So I do think that's just an interesting little move for me. Based off form, I couldn't take it. But the fact that I do think that Oliver has chosen to ride this horse over Right You Are, I'm quite positive on that. Could be wrong, but that's the way I read it. And if that's the case, right, Think and Fly's got to be given a good chance at $10. So it goes in for third, sorry. Then in for fourth, I do have number 17, Caffrey, who I think is going to have a really good run from barrier number 2. Obviously, was with it in the Greys race on Oaks Day at Flemington. It was just okay there. I thought it was a bit of one of those dust out the cobwebs types of run. It was boxed on pretty fairly, just overcome laid out wide, and thought it was a good enough effort. Second up will be much fitter, and I think it'll run well again. So at $8, it probably isn't the worst chance. Other chance of the race, I do think that Is the Barman has been in terrific form, and at $16 isn't the worst. Obviously, a bit up in grade here, but I do like the second last start to Triton Rising, who's a pretty smart horse. So it could be one to watch, but this seems to be a horse that runs much better on rain-affected surfaces, so a bit of a thought on that. But Star Ruse is an interesting one, because, I mean, this horse finished second to Think and Fly last time out. Now, carried 61.5, carries 58 here. Think and Fly carries 60. So Cyrus actually gets a weight swing on it and is $31 in this race. It's a little bit, um, yeah, has me a little bit stumped as to why it's $31 and Think and Fly's 10. So really could make a good case that Star Roos can run well. Starcaster was disappointing last time out, but the first up run was really good at Geelong over 1,200 metres. So wouldn't be surprised Vic can bounce back third up here at the 35s. And um, again, probably Heavenly Emperor as well could run a good enough race. Second up has really good second up form as well. So there is a lot of chances. So I do think Right You Are is the one to beat based off form, but in terms of a betting perspective, I think it's hard to take. I think there is ones outside of it that are probably a little bit better to take. And I have got obviously number six, Think and Fly in for second, who I do think's got a nice chance. Sorry, I had number 8, Skidor in for second. In the third, number 6, Think and Fly. But like I said, Oliver potentially picking to ride that. Got to be a little bit involved in that. Number 17, Caffrey in for third. Goes in for fourth. And there was a few that again, I thought were good overs. And Heavily Emperor's one of them at $18. But in from 35s as well. Had pretty decent market support there. Star Roos, like I said, $31. I'm not too sure how that is 31s when you've got Think and Fly at the $10, and there's a difference in weights between them in the favour of Star Roos and Starcast. I think can bounce back as well. So plenty of chance to race number 7, but I have got number 3, Right You Are, on top. But in terms of betting perspectives, like I said, probably one of those each way chances would be probably better to take. Moving on to race number 8 now, and this is obviously the Ballarat Cup, and we've got a fair to remember the $5 favourite. Big field here. There's 16 to go around, I believe. There's been 2 scratchings already, so it'd be interesting to see where if the field sort of evens out a little bit to bring it down. But at this stage, we've got these 16 to go around, and there's 18 nominated for it. Look at the speed map for the Ballarat Cup. I do think that Big Mike will probably lead them up with Knight's Order. I think they'll be the 2 main speed chances in the race. Inverloch won't be too far away, and Odin, I suggest, will also try to roll forward as well. Look, if there's any race that Kings will Dream will win, this has to be the one for me. I think it's a big step back in grade for him. He was pretty good last time out behind Homesman and Age of Chivalry. I did think that was his race last time out. But this could be the one for him again. I'm willing to stick with him because he's just really good price. He has actually run here at the track before, and he has won, so that's a good positive. And I do think that the mile back up to 2,000 metres would be much better for him. I'm not sure if he appreciated the tempo when they took off at the turn at Moonee Valley. He was a little bit flat-footed, so I'm not sure if he's just lost that bit of sprint out of his legs, and he could run a much better race over the 2,000 metres. So he goes on top for me, but Harlem's also the other one. I'm going to have something each way on at the $18. So I think this horse was excellent last time out behind Arcadia Queen of 50 Stars. Of course, that was in the McKinnon Stakes, and then prior to that we finished second at Caulfield behind Nonconformist. So he is really knocking on the door. He's running well. Craig Williams rides. I think it's got a good enough chance at the $18, so it goes in for second. Over third, number 4, Juniper, who's absolutely flying at the moment. Karen McAvoy takes the ride. The step out to the 2,000 metres is a little bit of a query. He's only seen the distance once before in his career out of 23 starts, so a little bit of a I suppose a bit of a query. The way it's been getting through the lines, Jess and me, it'll get up to the distance just all right. I think it'll run well. I'm just not. I think there's a couple other better chances of bigger odds than it. And obviously, a Fair to Remember's got to be given a great chance. I love what this horse did last round at Flemington. Terrific win over the 2,000 metres, beating Paradis. I love that win, and if it can do that again, I think it'll be pretty hard to beat here against the boys. So obviously, it does have to come up against the boys in this race here, but she's been really good in some terrific form, and on her home track, I suggest she'll be running well enough there. As for other chances of the race, I do think that if Paradis gets a run, it's got to be given a good edge at the $10. So if it gets in, obviously it has to have 2 scratchings for it to get in the race. It should be right up there. And Al Galale, I think, could bounce back off its last start performance where it was beaten by Nonconformist, and Harlem was pretty well backed on that occasion. Because often see horses have sort of one of those starts where they underperform, but then they can bounce back again. That could definitely be the case for this horse. Kawhi obviously going for 3 in a row. He's massively out of form, but he runs really well here. He's had 4 starts at Ballarat for 4 wins, so you can't discount him. And has obviously won the race twice in the last 2 years, so he can't be just discounted at the $21 either. And Gamekeeper probably is one that I think will appreciate getting back out to the 2,000 metres from the 800 metres last time out. and at $19 probably worth a bit of a spec. But look, I'm very keen to go number 3, Kings Will Dream, and number 2, Harlem as my 2 on top selections. Ahead of number 4, Juniper in for 3rd, then in for 4th, I've got number 10, Affair to Remember. Move on to race number 9 on the program now, the Magic Millions Classic for the 3-year-olds over the 1100 metres. And look at the speed map here for this race. I think that there'll be a fair bit of pace. I can suggest just about all of these will go forward except for the Black Panther, and probably Standoff will be the other one that'll roll back. And so there'll be plenty of pace on this race here. And I'm hoping that Hawker Hurricane doesn't go and contest the speed, because if it doesn't and settles back in the field, it'll appreciate it and be able to run on really well. So I think it's got to go on top for me. A horse that's won at this track twice from its 2 goes. Pretty good fresh performer. Ran some good races last preparation. I mean, a 5th behind Front Page and High Stranger. 7th to Tavasan and Innkeeper at Caulfield over 1100. And it also ran really well at Warrnambool behind Order of Command and Super Hard. So last preparation ran some terrific races, always around the mark, and usually doesn't run a bad race. So I think it could run well enough first up here at the $7. So it goes on top for me. Have number 3, the Astrologist. I do think it'll be really hard to beat. Obviously, this horse was second to Exhilarates last time out, so I think that it's obviously a bit of a drop in grade for it, and it'll be right there in the finish. I just think that the 210s are a little bit short for me, so it goes in for second. In for third, I've got number 4, Whip Crack Away, who I love this horse's run last time at Moonee Valley over the 955 metres. Was well back in the field, ran on nicely from back there, and I think stepping out to 1100 metres is going to suit this horse really nicely, and we can see much better performance. And number 2, Can't Be Done, second up here, has a really good second up form. First up, obviously, was in that lighter, and I'm telling you, race on Stakes Day. Obviously comes into this off a 2-week break, and I think he'll be running well enough here at second up with Damien Oliver in the saddle. Looks to get a good run from barrier number 3 as well, so it goes in fourth. If a 5th, I do have number 9, Hard Landing, is probably the other one that I could suggest outside of my top 4 numbers that could be worth as a chance. Obviously, a good second last time to Ali Boom up the straight. Be interested to see how this horse can bounce back here, if it can go on with that performance and run that again. But look, for me, I've got number 1, Hawker Hurricane, just thought it represented a bit of value at the $7 and $2.15 the place. So it goes on top for me. I have number 3, the Astrologist, in the second. In the third, I've got number 4, Whip Crack Away. Then in for fourth, number 2, Can't Be Done. Final race of the program, race number 10, benchmark 84 over the 1400 metres. And look at the speed map here for this big field to go around this one. Titan Blinders and Yao Dash, I think, will be the main leaders. That's if Yao Dash jumps out of the gates okay. Sondalon will probably roll forward, and Amadeus and East India Man will probably be the other ones that will roll forward in the race here, I think, as well. Look, I've got to stick with I've got to stick with B Hunter, I believe. I mean, I was with it last time out and ran a bolt of a race at Flemington, a narrow second of Power Scheme, but since come out and won again. So the form's really good around it. Look, obviously it had some problems at Moonee Valley, so that 8th doesn't read all that well at Moonee Valley, but there's plenty of forgive in that run, and I liked how it bounced back well last time out. And I do expect this horse running well enough again here. We'll need a little bit of luck from barrier number 2, but if it can get it, it should be right at the finish. So it goes on top for me. And have number 19, The Difference, who ran really well behind Outrageous and Ocular last time out. So I really like the way he hit the line there on that occasion. As a horse that's only missed a top 3 finish once in its career, at $10, I think it's going to be a really good chance. So I'll be backing both of them. In for third, number 7, Yao Dash, who probably has the class on the field here, and was running home quite well behind Exhilarates the Astrologist last time out. It was a good enough performance. Obviously, that was first up off a sort of a short break, and comes into this one at $4.20 as a favourite. I think it's a good, decent enough price. I'm just not sure. The barrier's okay. There's not going to be under a whole lot of pressure. But just for me, I thought that this horse hasn't won in a little bit of time, and I think needs that win before I can dive back into it again. Particularly at a price of $4.20, so it goes in for third for me. Then in fourth, number 11, Ocular. Obviously, I can't mention some of these other ones without mentioning him. He's been really good. He was obviously very good behind Outrageous last time out at Flemington, so he's got to be given a mention as well at the $7. Each way chances look like in terms of ones outside of my numbers. Well, I do think that Mr. Tippler could run well. He obviously finished third last time out in the Greys race behind Berdebeck and Star Missiles. Good effort. Star Missiles in that race as well. Got to be giving it a chance. And Titan Blindness has not run a bad race in some time now, so you could probably take it at an each way price with a bit of confidence as well. I mean, having looked back at its last 6 starts, hasn't missed a place at all, so really could be taken on a bit of confidence. Looks to get a really good run in towards the speed as well. So recap the numbers for me. Look, I do think the number 17B Hunter is the one to beat. I was really impressed with its last start performance. I think it can show it again. I do think the number 9 the difference is the big danger, and is the other that I'm keen to back in the race. In for third, number 7 Yard Dash. Then in for fourth, I've got number 11 Ocular. Now look at my best bets and best value bets for the program. So look, my best bet of the program is going to come in race number 5, and it is High Stranger. I do think it's going to be quite hard to beat. So number 6, High Stranger in race number 5 at $3.80 is one of my best bets of the program. The other one that I do really like a lot comes in race number 9, number 1, Hawker Hurricane. Do think it can. I do think the Australs will be hard to beat there, but I do think that Hawker Hurricane is the main danger, and I think at the $7.50, the $7, it's got to be a good enough price to give it a good push towards. Best value bets of the program. Look, I do think in the Ballarat Cup, I do think the Kings will Dream will run well at the $12. So it's going to be one of my best value bets of the program. And the other one that I did like at a bit of a price as well comes in race number. Sorry, race number 4. No. So yeah, race number 2, number 11, Brilliant Venture at the $13. Thought it was well over the odds, and was worth a good mention at that price. So that's one of the best value bets of the program. So thank you for tuning into the Ballarat Cup video here. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And obviously, like I said, subscribe if you're new down below. Like the video, comment, and go check out my other videos as well. I'll be doing one on Kembla Grange with the gong, and then also the Ascot meeting with the railway as the feature race of the program there. So thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you have watched in its entirety, go check out myself on social media, CLA_racing tips on Facebook, and on Instagram, and C Lane Racing Tips on Facebook. If you want to check out these tips, I'll be posting them on there as well as other tips, and also I do post almost daily tips on there as well. So if you want to be seeing a little bit more of my tips during the week, go and follow me on social media. But thank you for tuning in. Really appreciate it once again, and hope you have a terrific weekend and find plenty of winners.